Previously on Balls.
Balls Visual Radio with Michael Jackson. Can you believe 30 years ago today that album was released, Thriller, when HD was 12?
Two in every pack, huh?
That is true. You were 12 about then, huh? Do you remember that?
Do I remember Michael Jackson?
Do you remember that album, that Thriller album?
Yeah, of course, man. I moonwalked. I did all that stuff. I was proper.
There we go. Notch HD up for Z Factor next year. We're putting our lineup together for our sporting superstars to perform on stage at Skulks Farm next year. So we'll put you down for the Michael Jackson moonwalk and dance routine.
Not a problem.
How many talented musical sportsmen do we have around? I mean, so many. So many. They can sing and dance and perform.
Gifted.
I'm looking forward to Guy Kebble doing ballet on stage.
Oh, that I'll pay $1 million for.
You'll go and watch that, right, HD?
I'll be there, front row.
Without a doubt. Wow.
Did you get that? Did you get that? Guy Kebble, front row. Did you get that?
Very good. You're still sharp, but then I suppose there should be an extra day of play to go, so you should still be sharp, despite the fact that you've been up all night watching football and all kinds of sport on TV there because of the time differences.
Well, I must admit, Australia is a lovely place, but I could never live here because they've got their timing all wrong.
Yeah.
You cannot wake up at 2 in the morning to watch rugby test matches and then 3:30 football matches. I'm a mess when I go to work to watch the cricket. I'm a mess. I get the eye drops go in. People think I've been out drinking all night, that I'm an alcoholic. It's just a nightmare.
Way overrated.
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
All right,
but what a performance,
hey,
guys. What a performance.
What a brilliant PGA clap for the Proteas. As I said on Twitter earlier today, I said that is probably the most well-planned and executed mugging of any test side that I have witnessed.
Well, Muhammad Ali, George Foreman came to mind.
Yeah.
You let someone punch you for 8 rounds, and then when you feel that they're tired and they're ready to go, you just put them down on the floor and you say, thank you very much.
Yeah. Because, the one thing that kept sitting in the back of my mind, and I thought, oh, please don't, was the fact that even though they were chasing 600 plus, and it would have been a world record that would have stood for a long time, there was just enough time to get it. I was thinking if they probably targeted getting to the close today, needing about 300 or something odd tomorrow, and maybe being 4 down, they would have backed themselves to get there if they had a Clark, a Hussey, and still around. But we put paid to that very quickly.
Well, I think the first wicket was a big one.
Yeah.
Getting Vernon's delivery to get rid of David Warner was a magnificent delivery. And I think Warner, if he had have got going and batted in the way we know he can bat, and he had have got a quick fire 100 and let's call it 70 balls, 80 balls. I mean, I know that it's a test match, but that's the way he plays.
That's how he plays, yeah.
I think it almost would have given Australia some belief that they could have, if not drawn the match, go on to win the match. But it was such a substantial score, and I know Kepler Wessel said throughout the broadcast that we were on back in the back of the commentary box. He'd say these oaks have got no chance, they got no chance, and it shows you why he was a national captain, because he predicted everything as the day progressed. But it was just such a good performance from it, and I go back to that Adelaide Test, guys. That Francois Duplessis, what he did there, and I'm saying Francois because this is a formal moment. Yeah. What he did there was something quite incredible. Yeah. He's a natural stroke player, and he defended as if his life depended on it, and he must have come close to man of the series. I know Michael Clark got 2 double hundreds and probably deserved it, but Francois Duplessis was the difference between these two teams over the course of this series.
And in a series point, you summed it up from a series point of view, absolutely. But also, just what his knock, I've never seen a knock in another test have an effect on how things went in the following test, because that knock and that performance that final day certainly had an effect mentally and probably physically, because remember, they would have had Siddle here. They probably would have had Hilfenhaus as well if it wasn't for his knock, and also the way that he just ground them into the ground in that Adelaide test. Seriously, physically and mentally, must have really taken it out of them for this test.
Without a doubt. There was quite a lot of criticism over here for the Australian selectors leaving out all their fast bowlers from the previous test, and that the feeling was that maybe they could leave Siddle out because he was tired. But here in Perth, the ball swings. It's the one venue that does swing because of what they call the Fremantle doctor. So Hilfenhaus should have played here because he could swing the ball, and in the first 2 tests, he was of no significance whatsoever. So, there was a feeling that they got that slightly wrong. But, the feeling all the time here amongst the group of people that have been over here, the fans that have flown all this way, and the commentators and various SuperSport people have just felt that if South Africa played to the best of their ability and Australia played to the best of their ability, Australia couldn't live with these bunch of cricketers because they're a special bunch. They are a high-quality team at the moment. They're well managed, they're well coached, they're well led, and they were just below their best in the first 2 tests, and they turned it on here. It was an unbelievable performance.
Yeah. Put into perspective just the comparison with the bowling sides, because the track pretty much was okay. Look, I mean, the one aspect was there were footmarks which Robin Peterson could bowl into, and I think and congrats on 2 fronts to you. The first one is on being the only commentator to actually pick up that Peterson pitched it exactly on the edge of one of those footmarks where he got Clark. I mean, that thing turned, I think it was 80 centimeters off the normal path.
It was amazing thing is that Robin actually thought he had Clark the ball before, in that when you watch it on the television, he lets the ball go and he sees Clark coming down the wicket and his body shakes in anticipation that Clark's going to miss it, but he doesn't hit the footmark and the ball doesn't turn. But credit to him, what Robin did so well, and maybe it's because he had 600 on the board that he could afford to do it. He tossed that next one higher and wider, and it hit that footmark, spun, and what a great stumping from A.B. de Villiers. I mean, he took it by his chest. It was a wonderful bit of glove work, and it was just a great team performance. And I must tell you guys that they actually are standing 10 meters from me here. They're all dressed, well, more than that, 20 meters. They're all dressed in white. They all got their Protea hats on. They've all had far too much to drink because they've had a fines meeting, which they shared with the Australian cricket side. The Australian cricket side were in the Protea dressing room, and they had a fines meeting, both teams, which is fabulous to hear that sport is still played like that.
That's fantastic. We want to find out a few insights on who got fines there, but I just want to go back to my point. I mean, that track, other than the footmarks and and a little bit of wear and tear on that side, pretty much held up and would have held up through 5 days, as we've seen it done before, where we chased down 400 odd. But it kind of flattened out later in the day, and when the ball got softer as well, and you could see the difference between the two sides, because not only from a batting point of view, but I think particularly from a bowling point of view, where our bowlers worked and worked and worked, and despite how soft the ball got and how much flatter the wicket got, despite the fact that the batsman's never in on that track, you could see the difference between the two sides there just by the way the sides bowled.
Well, I think we've got to go quite to the end of day 1 and the beginning of day 2, Darren, when South Africa were in awful trouble, 70 for 7. Francois du Plessis again, magnificent innings, 78 not out. Put on a bit with Robin Peterson and again with Vernon Philander, and they got to 225. And many thought, well, actually, you know what? If Australia go and get 300, South Africa aren't out of the Test match, but because they got 225. But when they got those 2 wickets the night before, and then they bowled so well the next day, and they bowled Australia out, there was a feeling that the wicket was a good one, and if someone could set their stall, there was a massive opportunity for the Proteas to win it. And the way that Hashim Amla, Graham Smith, Callis, and then the return of A.B. de Villiers was phenomenal. I mean, Hashim Amla to me is the most beautiful batsman in the world to watch. He is just a picture to watch. We're not going to say anything more about Jacques Callis because I think we've said enough over the years.
I was just going to say, for you to say that, being a Jacques Callis disciple for many, many years, is saying something.
Yeah, no, I'm done with him. I've been debating ad nauseum here in Australia that I think he's the best cricketer that's ever lived, in my opinion. And, obviously Australia got Bradman, and I won't argue with them on that point, but when they start throwing Ricky Ponting, and all due respect to Ricky Ponting, he's a magnificent player, and he's retired now, and he had a great career. Jacques Callis is, without a shadow of a doubt, for me, the finest cricketer South Africa have ever produced, and he's in the top 3 cricket players, not batsmen, cricket players and batsmen that the world has ever seen, and he is so appreciated in this country. They think he's a legend here. So yeah, and then de Villiers' innings was a phenomenal one, and I think that with the lead they had, it afforded the bowlers to just plug away, and it allowed Graham Smith to keep attacking for a lot longer than you would normally do in a first innings, or if you've only 350.
Yeah.
So Peterson was just allowed to bowl, whether he got hit over the top or cut away for 4. Every time an Australian batsman looked around him, there was a short leg, a sitting point, and a slip. So the pressure is relentless.
Yeah, and I think when Jacques Kallis goes, you'll see similar scenes wherever he's playing, anywhere in the world, that we saw with Ricky Ponting today. I think it was just goosebump stuff with the... I enjoyed the fake Richie Beno's tweet of the photograph saying South Africa have set a really strange field placing for Ricky Ponting when they were giving him that little channel of honour. But, I mean, seriously, it was goosebump stuff all the way through.
It was so special to be a part of it, you know, in that you almost felt, and I say almost because I didn't eventually feel like this, but you almost felt, you know, let the guy get 100 and South Africa win. But then I thought, no, bugger that, let him get naught and South Africa win. But
yeah.
you know, the thing is that I'll let you know something, is that Ricky Ponting was involved in this fines meeting with these guys, and he's now on his way to Adam Gilchrist's house, where he thinks he's having a quiet dinner with his wife, and Adam Gilchrist and his wife. But no, seriously, but Cricket Australia have flown in from all over Australia people that have been involved in his career, and they're having a massive do at Adam Gilchrist's house.
Oh, amazing.
Mr. and Mrs. Gilchrist asked Cricket Australia, what's the budget? They said, there is no budget.
Oh, wow.
You just make it. So the thing is that I hope that when Jacques Henry Kallis does decide on his own terms, and if that is the age of 65, that's also fine, he decides to retire, you know, he needs to be treated with that respect, because he is an absolute legend.
Yeah, we were talking about this all last week. I actually claim that Jacques Kallis is the greatest sportsman that this country has ever produced. And you throw in your Ernie Elses and Gary Player, I just think what he's achieved against some of the best, or against all of the best in the world, I would rank him up there as our number one sportsman of all time without any debate. But I mean, that's my own personal opinion. Some people have been debating Gary Player. However, I mean, that's...
Well, the one thing about Jacques is that if you ask him how good he is, he won't tell you.
Yeah. No, that's him. That's exactly what which cricketer was mentioning that we were talking to last week. Jonty said exactly the same thing. You asked Jacques and he wouldn't tell you. He wouldn't say that to you at all. But certainly he deserves every single kudos. And I was just asking whether South Africa actually appreciates what we've had with that guy as much as we should have.
I think we've got there. I think maybe 8 years ago we were quite there, but I think we've got there now. And as I glance across the hotel lobby, I'm seeing him giving a batting demonstration to Kim Hughes. Remember Kim Hughes?
Yes.
Do you remember Kim Hughes?
Yeah, he's played for Natal.
Kim Hughes has been having... Yeah, Kim Hughes and Dave Norman, who also played for Natal, are here having a drink with Mike Hazeman.
Grumpy.
Kim Hughes, yeah, and Kim Hughes went across to Jacques Kallis and said, "Listen, I just need you to show me how you know what your pre-shot movements are." So I'm glancing across here and seeing Jacques Kallis giving a batting exhibition to ex-Australian captain Kim Hughes.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. That is brilliant. Well, I'm sure you'll be happy to catch up with old Grumpy again. Grumpy Norman, send him my regards if you do have a few with him. I'm sure you're going to.
Well, I will do, and I'll tell you what, he's 10 kilograms lighter now than when he played for Natal.
Are you kidding me? I thought he'd blown up like a hot air balloon.
He looks like an MMA fighter.
My goodness,
Nagasaki Greyhound.
Maybe he is. All right, H. Well, listen, I mean, there's just so many aspects of this test we could talk about, but it'll take up the whole show. And we know that you just want to spend a really, really good evening knowing South Africa won another series in Australia. I failed to see in since isolation aside that as good and as balanced as this side has been. And also, I think just a couple of things. Brian saying you did predict the exact over that Dale Steyn would get the last wicket. In fact, you predicted the exact ball. Is Sanjay waiting there in the lobby to pay you?
No, it's actually my wife who's got the briefcase.
Yeah, clever move, just in case.
Yeah. Okay.
And also, just on behalf of all of us here, and also me personally, I mean, I was sort of switching over now and again. When we were really on top, I love switching over to Channel 9 because I love to hear them whine and try and find ways of, you know what they like. But listen to your guys' commentary most of the time, and I thought you guys did an absolutely fantabulous job. So congratulations on that. It was really entertaining listening to you and taking us through the test match. So thanks a lot for that and the series.
No, thank you guys, and I look forward to chatting to you guys again.
All right, travel back safe when you get back, H, and enjoy the evening.
Will do, D.
Thanks very much,
HD.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. There we
Okay,
go.
bye.
HD Ackerman.
Aw, man.
In the lobby.
This is Bulls Visual Radio. Darren, Simon, Kate, and John. Weekdays from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Central African Time. Bulls.co.za